developing a 2-page flyer about developing a successful social media strategy for your business. And I know many of you are retired, but some of you are not. So I know 2 of you are in real estate. What is everybody else?
I'm a retired bean counter.
Okay.
I work for the Boy Scouts.
Boy Scouts, okay. And are you anybody have a side business like on Etsy or?
Side hustle too.
Okay, what are you doing?
Media.
Oh yeah, video media, and what else?
And photography.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right. So how many of you feel like you're using social media well for your business or for your organization or even for Rotary? Do you feel like it's working for you?
No.
Okay. Somewhat?
Facebook is working a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got my last 2 pieces of business through Facebook. So, yeah.
Really? Awesome.
Got a
Good.
referral Saturday from Messenger from a guy I sold his house 3 years ago. And he offered a client from North Carolina. So,
Wow.
Yeah, and Facebook
Facebook's
works
definitely
really
good.
well for me,
Okay.
and also because I'm linked to a lot of realtor referral groups on Facebook, and I get referrals and give referrals stuff.
Okay. Good. Good.
LinkedIn has worked well for me in the past as well,
Okay.
so in my previous career.
All right.
You actually understand.
I do.
Me too. Good. That's the key, more or less, is finding the social channel that you're talking to your potential clients, and then working that channel so that people will engage in conversation. Because it's called social media because it's supposed to be conversational. It's supposed to be. So what I have
Not
before you.
political.
Well, no.
That's still a conversation.
It's still conversational, so we'll talk a little bit about that too, because there's some trends in social media that are occurring right now that I think you should be aware of, that corporations are taking some risk and being more political and being more transparent about how they feel about certain things. And it makes us all kind of twinge and feel uncomfortable, but it's also showing authenticity on the part of the people that are running different organizations. So, but basically I have 3 points I want to cover. There's a lot here. But if you're wondering why, and the first point is why social media should be part of your online presence, these are just some statistics that I think all of you probably know. But the basic person in the United States spends at least 30 minutes a day on social media. So if you're not part of the conversation, you're missing out. And that doesn't mean they're always on a specific channel. They could be on Facebook, they could be on Instagram. Michael, who's we determined is a Gen Z, not a millennial. He spends his time on Snapchat and Instagram and where else? Not Facebook. We had that discussion. Not Facebook.
Of course not. You're not old enough to want to hang out with those old people.
Oh, my mom's on Facebook.
See?
Right?
Yeah. So he versus
Mr. Honest.
the rest of us might spend our time on Facebook or LinkedIn. So very different channels.
Are we allowed to interrupt and ask questions?
Absolutely.
So only having a vague understanding of the whole picture, is Facebook and Snapchat really just the same thing, like a Chevy and a Ford, or are they so completely different they're not comparable?
Very completely different. Yeah. Snapchat is.
More like a Prius.
Three.
You can get mousier than cat eyes.
Yeah, called filters. But you can get filters on Snapchat and Instagram also. But Snapchat is intended for 24-hour conversations, which Instagram stories are as well. So it's up there for 24 hours and then it poof,
Well, it goes away.
disappears. Yeah. So it was invented by these really smart kids. Sorry about those kids. Who didn't like the fact that they were on Facebook and their parents were creeping on their posts, and they couldn't figure out a way to make those posts disappear.
Yeah.
So Snapchat became that way. So that's.
So, but I mean, functionally, they're still the same thing. Just this disappearing feature is different.
I don't know much about Snapchat. Tell
So-
us about Snapchat.
So it's an application on your phone, Samsung, Android, and iPhone. They all use them. A lot of it is with friends and family. You can send a picture or a message, like if I'm going to the movies, picture of myself in the movie theater. You open it, the receiver, and it disappears. You can't reopen it ever again. Same goes with messages. Messages is I send you a message saying, "Hey, I like to buy drugs off you," but you won't see the message ever again because again it disappears. So obviously that's a hypothetical.
Yeah.
But
But the purpose is you can have a conversation and you can have, say you wanted 6 of your friends to meet you at a restaurant.
yes.
Once they see your invitation, then it's gone.
Yeah, so you can use another feature called Stories, where that's what stays up for 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
If I post a story saying, "Hey guys, I'm going to be at the Rotary Club meeting today. This is the address. I'll see you there at 4 o'clock."
Right.
After 24 hours, the message is gone. So again, the reason why Snapchat got famous was the disappearing feature, but now people are using it for advertising, for doing events where if you're in a certain area, each different user and separate phones can contribute to one story which anybody can view. So if each one of us takes a picture and we create a Snap story for the Rotary Club meeting, each one of your friends and connections, let's say you have 200 each, in collective, those 200 each all see it, and I think it's good for obviously for marketing, but when I'm using recruiting, I'm in a fraternity. We use it for recruiting events. You get a lot more exposure. A lot more people can see it, and it's just like kind of like through the grapevine.
And that's how social media initially started, was trying to be viral, right? So
Yep.
I would share something with all of you, and then you would share it with your friends, so we get 10 times or 15 times the exposure. And that sort of dropped off because it's just not as novel as it used to be. So the only time that people...
Can you comment on Twitter?
Sure. What would you like to know?
Just where does that stand in the?
Hierarchy or?
Where how is it different? Or how, or just kind of, is it relevant, or
All of the above.
all of the
All
above?
of the above, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so Twitter, the niche is typically 280 characters, right? So you see a lot of politicians, including our POTUS, uses Twitter quite a bit. But other politicians across the world do too. I don't know if you know, like the presidents, all the presidents are using it as well. So it's meant to be what's called a micro conversation. So with 280 characters, you're limited to the conversation that you can have, but you can also have links, you can have pictures, you can have video, you can actually do some live videos, small snippets of live video. But the people that primarily use it are politicians, celebrities, and news media. The news media feeds on, if you've experienced that too, they feed on Twitter. So they look to Twitter as their primary source of delivering news and gathering news.
A lot of school systems.
And verifying news. A lot of my colleagues in the news business will check sources through Twitter.
Right.
Because it's instant. And you can Twitter somebody, like you find something out going on in Egypt. We have friends in Egypt. You can say, hey, is this really happening? No, it's not. It's just fake news. So
Fake news.
they
Yeah.
they're on the truth.
And it, like Instagram, it's searchable through hashtags, and they use a lot of hashtags. Yeah, hashtags. Instagram, although Instagram you still use up to 30, you can still use up to 30 hashtags on a post, but that's becoming a lot of noise. And now the recommendation is about 2 to 3 hashtags per post, which is also addressed in here, to identify your particular hashtag and try to use that as often as you can. So for example, for us, ours is everyone deserves a mulligan. That's our hashtag. That's our corporate hashtag. So, but I don't use it on every post because then it becomes like, really? No. But I use that if I have a post relevant to my function.
That's something you have to register, like an email address or something?
No, you just use the hashtag that you want.
You make it up and use it, right?
Yeah.
They're like
Now-
search points, like in YouTube.
Sure.
If you do put a YouTube video, think of all the words that are related to that. Yeah, like
Sure.
if it's a particular speaker, you put the speaker's name. If it happened to Rotary, you put Rotary. If it's about social, you put social. So hashtag functions the same way, right?
And it will also, like Twitter, will bring up, it will suggest hashtags, so it will give you hashtags. Once you start typing it will say,
Differently.
you mean this, and you can use those hashtags, okay? So it will give you something. I don't know, does that answer your question about Twitter? It's still a very relevant channel. It's used differently, and it's also
Well,
used
it
by
looks like
celebrity influencers. Celebrity influencers use Twitter all the time, and Instagram too.
A lot of school systems use
And
Twitter.
school systems as a mechanism to communicate. Yeah, so, were you to say something, Ted?
Well, I think one of the issues now is the concept. I'm just thinking selfishly as a realtor. The reason I don't like Instagram or Snapchat, because if I put a picture of a house that's for sale and I'm having an open house, I want it to stay there. I want people to pass it on. So that's why
Well,
Facebook
Instagram it
and
will.
LinkedIn are better.
It will on Instagram unless it's part of a story. So you can
Right,
post
right.
specifically to Instagram without it being part of a story.
Yeah.
What makes it interesting on a story is, let's say I haven't been on Instagram for a day, all right? So if you contributed, added to the story throughout the day, now I can see your story of 3 or 4 or 5 pictures versus just one photo. Yeah.
There's also a new feature recently that's been added. It's called Instagram TV.
Yeah.
That's
right.
actually, I see that, I scroll through Instagram all the time. I see that a lot more often. And with Instagram TV, you can do a walkthrough of a house you're selling, and it can be up to, I think, around 5 minutes long.
Oh,
and
interesting.
it'll stay in your feed. So when you post pictures that stay there indefinitely, they'll have a little tab at the bottom saying go to Instagram TV, and you can follow the walkthrough, and it would always stay there.
That's good to know.
So, all right. So, so if you look at this first part, I want to encourage you to use social media to realize that people that actually use it and use it well have higher revenue and also have a better chance of expanding the workforce, which is something that a lot of businesses are struggling with now, to actually draw talent into their company. But the other thing on the bottom of that first part is reviews are becoming a huge part of social media. It used to be that Yelp was kind of it, that people use that for restaurants, and TripAdvisor, they used it for hotels, right? Before booking a hotel or a Airbnb or whatever, you're going to look at a review. But now it's cross-sectional with every business. It doesn't matter if you sell parts to a car manufacturer, they're going to look at reviews, and that is going to influence their decision whether they do business with you or not.